So part 10. So I'm up in the air. I have almost just ended myself by not turning the fuel pumps on. I gave my friend a call whilst flying with my knees and said, I've got to somehow get this back to Chilliwack, and we weren't anywhere near there. I knew that Vancouver International Airport was within a certain radius. It was about 25 nautical miles. So I certainly didn't want to run into a passenger jet. I had no clue how to work the navigation system. I had no clue how to work the radio. I just knew how to pull up and fly this thing. And if that wasn't an Air America moment, I'll never know. So I ended up flying around a mountain for a while and just got the feel of it and got the feel of the wind. I actually had to skirt along the North Shore Mountains in Vancouver. If anyone knows Vancouver, I could look down upon Vancouver City, and off in the distance I could see YVR and the jets landing there. I could hear them on the headsets. I could look down as I was flying along the edge of the mountain there, and I could see all the seaplanes taking off in Vancouver Harbour. I could see the helijet port down in Vancouver. Vancouver has some of the busiest air traffic control, and I wanted to not end myself and a passenger jet, so I stayed treetop, hugging a mountain. I could practically touch the trees I was flying along, and there were a couple of houses up along there, and I bet they wouldn't have known what the hell hit them as this 206 comes screaming along the top. And then I had to dart my way out, and I couldn't see where the airport was. I knew that the US border ran directly to my left, but along obviously the Canadian border. And so I just picked about a 45-degree angle and hoped that I would pop out somewhere near the border there. And about 25 minutes later of just heart pounding, because the other thing when it comes to navigation, everything looks different from the air. You think you're going to recognize something, but it's actually very difficult. And that's why you need to train in aviation to fly something. So one, you know where you're going, you know what to do. But not Mr. Smith. He decided to take his own life into his own hands. But anyway, I managed to get it all the way out to Chilliwack Airport. Now, Chilliwack is an unmanned airport, which means there's no air traffic control. You've only got to do a radio call to let other small aircraft in the area know where you're heading or that you're coming into land. So I knew planes come in from the east and west. It's only a one-way runway, so I thought I'll come in the middle. That way I'm not going to run into a plane. I'll do a quick call, because also my school that I was going to, that I only just briefly gone to, I knew a lot of people there. I'm a friendly guy, so I got to know everybody, and everyone knows my voice. So I could hear a couple of people on the radio off and on, and so I had to mask my voice to make the radio call to other aircraft in the area that I was going to come into Chilliwack Airport and land. So Bell 406, so I made up this ridiculous voice and come swooping in over Chilliwack and put that thing on the grass, landed, parked, got out, and absolutely kissed the ground like you wouldn't believe. I couldn't believe what I just did. Parked that helicopter. My friend took about another hour before he got there, because a helicopter moves quite quick. I just remember sitting on the skids of the machine and just couldn't fathom that I just picked this helicopter up, flown it to here, and that was my first flight. So I completely understand the whole process behind not letting a pilot fly for too long, 20 minutes, because there's overload. Well, I'd just mostly flown for 40 minutes, must be a little bit longer, tried to dodge around all these major things in Vancouver, hug the trees, hug the mountains, navigate just by looking at the mountains and seeing where I was to get to where I needed to go. So in that time, I went walking over around the airport a little bit, and I seen a sign. There was a hangar for rent, and we hadn't figured that part of the puzzle out yet. So I think I got a hold of that guy and same day I got to rent the hangar, which we got to put the helicopter away, which it solved a part of the problem. My buddy came and picked me up, and bang, we were essentially in business. I went back, and at that point I was still working at the nightclub, but I'd finished. So then there were, over the next couple of days, there were a bunch of meetings that were taking place. I met a bunch of American people. They came up and we went out for lunch, and these were the catchers. These were the guys who were going to meet the helicopter. And they had done it for years, and they all sort of knew each other. Nobody knew each other's names. It was very much that underworld type thing. I met them. They were going to be the catchers, and then I had another meeting to meet the guy that was going to deliver it. So how the whole operation was going to work was I was to fly out to a creek bed, the Fraser River Canyon. I would pick a coordinate, and I would fly in and meet somebody, and then I was going to fly down south and have coordinates down there, and we were going to, fly to those coordinates and pick them up. So I had to meet these different people and have rules in place, like you don't come near the helicopter and so forth. So over the next couple of days, we also had to find locations, and I didn't know, I hadn't flown around Vancouver that much or the Fraser Valley, so I was scared shitless of flying that machine. So stupidly, I just get in my pickup and I would drive around to these different places in the forest and sort of look around and go, I think I could get in here, and I went up the river. And then one afternoon I crossed the border into the US and then drove all through the forestry, and I just at the time just had a handheld GPS and would write down the coordinates when I thought it was a good landing pad. And that's essentially what I did. So a couple more days I was going in, still bartending the bar, and also trying to get some lessons, but all these meetings happening. I had a free helicopter to use, but I was still trying to get some lessons in. But you can imagine how much is going on, and now that they had spent almost $750,000 getting this going, they wanted it going. So I met the landing crew, and then I think it was about 4 days later that they wanted to do a practice run. They wanted to see what a practice run would be like. So that's what we set up, and you will find it interesting what I took down.